start us off. Rob?
And James Maddison was left out in the England squad by Lee Carsley. This is despite that fantastic free kick last weekend. Do you hope the new boss coming in Tuchel does give James a decent chance and looks at him, because clearly he's got lots to offer?
Yeah, I don't think you pick national teams on the back of a free kick, to be fair. I think you need more than that. So that's the first thing. Look, secondly, it's with all these things, I've always said team selection, squad selection, it's more in the players' hands than the managers. They're the ones that need to put up the compelling evidence for people to make decisions. When I select a team on the weekend, or when the England manager selects his squad, he's doing it on the back of the evidence he has before him. So, if you miss out, well, then you've got to say, okay, well, I've got to give him more compelling evidence next time to get back in there. I've never come across a manager who doesn't select what he thinks is the best team for what he wants and the purpose of his sort of brief. So, whether it's Matters or anyone else, they just got to keep putting up, the evidence that means they get selected for the next national team. I mean, we had, Pedro missing out to Spain for quite a bit, but he's the only way you can change that, and it wasn't because it's obviously not because the manager doesn't like him. It's just that there wasn't enough evidence there. Now he's there, and he's performing well, and he's back in the national team. It'll be the same for Matters or anyone else.
Pedro said on Sunday that he's going to donate some of his wages to the victims of the Valencia flash floods. Just talk about that, please. It's quite a gracious thing to do, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I think most players understand that. They're in a pretty privileged position, and I think all of them understand the social responsibility they also carry, and areas where they can help. Pedro's certainly a person who's is very empathetic in that way. You see him with the other players or with people in general, and it's great. And I always say to the players, we always need to understand that whatever our tough moments are, pale in insignificance to some of the challenges that people in wider society face, and if we can always give back and contribute, I always think those kind of things come back, in spades, not in terms of gratitude or anything like that, but just, for your own life, you feel like you're making a meaningful contribution to something where, you've been privileged in your own position.
Ange, Mikel Arteta said in the past that he thinks 100 points might be needed to finish above Man City. You talked about the league being a bit more open. Do you sense it could be a bit different this year?
Well, if you look at the current trajectory, potentially. I'm not really sure about sort of points targets, but when you look at kind of the losses already that some of the top clubs have had, when you're talking about those targets, obviously Liverpool's still on target to potentially achieve that. But it means like City or Arsenal pretty much have to be perfect between now and the end of the year to reach that sort of target, which the competition in the Premier League and like I said, just the demands that all the clubs have, with European football and all these international football, the injuries, it's unlikely. But like I said, Liverpool's obviously still in that kind of position, so he may very well take that. But when you look at sort of the beginning of the Premier League, it seems like it'd be hard for some of the other clubs to reach that level unless they're perfect, which, with Man City, that could very well happen, mate.
Can I just ask you about the Hugo comment again? I appreciate you might not have read it, but what he directly said was he got a sense from Daniel Levy, the chairman, that he didn't know how to win because the way he was behaving before the Champions League final. I mean, can you give us a sense of your dealings with Daniel and whether that's a fair reflection of his approach?
Look, I think with all these things, and I've seen it in my own life, and people will often talk about experiences they've had or shared with me, and I've got a totally different view on it than they have. And I think both of us are speaking the truth. We all have our own truth through these things, and we look at them through the prism of how it affects us. So, I think Hugo's, again, I haven't read it up, so I don't want to sort of take it out of context, but Hugo's talking about his own experience, but is that the experience of everyone? I'm sure Daniel had a different sort of view on it, and if you asked him, he would have a different sort of context to why transpired that way. But I think when something doesn't work, it's very easy to then sort of, in a post-mortem, kind of look for reasons why. I never think it's just one. I think it's bigger than that. But it would have been a very different story if, like I said, because it was a pretty tight final as well, if it had gone the other way. My dealings with Daniel or anyone at the club of, I haven't sort of changed from the moment I took on this task. I know what ambitions I have for this football club, and there's been nothing here that's kind of, I feel, curtailed me trying to achieve what I want to, for this football club. And a lot of that is in my own power. I control a lot of that, and then the rest of it is just trying to, get people along for the ride and hopefully get them to believe in what we're trying to do.
The wider external pressure, or impression, does it come down to solely having to deliver a trophy to change that, or do you think it's more nuanced?
Look, it depends kind of what you're kind of talking about in terms of. I've always said that I just don't see just a trophy as kind of the panacea for sustained success, because there's plenty of evidence that that is not the case. Not here, just sport in general. Yeah. I think winning the league's a bit different, but even then, to sustain that is not easy. So I think sustained success, which is what I talk about a lot, is a lot deeper than just winning a trophy. But I get the fact that, when you're at a club of this size and hasn't won, that people think, well, that's the missing piece. But what I've been trying to rail against since I've been here is that it's not. There's never just a missing piece. It's more. It's always more than that. It's about having a clear idea on, what you're going to build and how you're going to build it, and staying true to that. And I think I said last week, the biggest part of that is that whatever sort of comes at you externally, it's not important what people say about you. It's how you respond to it is much more important, both positive or negative. It's your response to it, because unless you have a clear idea of what you're trying to do, you're going to be jumping in shadows all the time. So I could be going, look, let's just win a trophy this year and everything will be fine. And we win a trophy, we finish 10th, and then 5 games into next year, I get sacked. Not that it's about me, I'm just saying, but then the club has to change direction again. So have you really done anything? I don't think so. So that's where I'm trying to just stay really clear on, for us as a club, we kind of know what we want to achieve in terms of sustained success. Does that include trophies? Absolutely. But it's not going to be one simple thing that all of a sudden opens the floodgates. I don't believe that.
I've asked about the sort of 100-point total, whether the season is more open. Does it become more difficult to achieve that sustained success when you have, in the past decade or so, 2 clubs who've been
No, not necessarily. I think, for the most part, you're always sort of competing against clubs that usually go through a period of sustained success, whether it's City or it was, City and Liverpool before, or, historically Man United or Arsenal or Liverpool. There's always clubs that kind of have that, and, what you want to try and do is become one of those clubs where you go into that period where you think, okay, for this next sort of part, we're going to be one of those clubs. I think that's where you've got to try and get to, and but I think there's always going to be our clubs that have dominant periods, and most of them on the back of pretty clear, stable processes, with not a lot of change, of having a clear pathway forward. So that's where we are at the moment. Whether that comes to fruition and we end up being, well, time will tell. But I think, irrespective of what the competition's doing, that's got to be our aim and ambition, to become one of those clubs that are up there for a number of years.
You mentioned the broadcast bit that Richarlison was long term. Do you have an updated sort of
Not really, and kind of sort of reticent to put it because obviously, but it'll be out for significant time. It's a significant sort of hamstring injury.
Joey, finish us off, please.
Sure.
You would have coached against Australians when you were at Yokohama and Celtic, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Ipswich will be the first time you'll coach against Australians in the Premier League. I'm not sure how much you've had to do with Cameron Burgess, but obviously Max Luongo played well enough for you a decade ago that he got nominated for the Ballon d'Or. Are you looking forward to catching up with them, and what was that relationship like with Max?
Yeah, no, it will be. It'll be good to catch up with Mass. We really love coaching him. I remember one of my first scouting trips when I was Socceroos national team boss was to watch Swindon Town play in League One against someone, and he was playing. Yeah, I wasn't going to the Bernabeu and Nou Camp to watch the Aussies play, mate. Just that the way I remember Tim Sherwood was in the sort of director's box where I was, and they spoke really highly of Mass from his time here at Spurs, the kind of player he was, the person he was, and we hit a sweet spot, both me and him, in that Asian Cup where he was player of the tournament. Like I said, he was outstanding. It's taken us 10 years to get to the Premier League, both of us. We probably both thought we'd get here a bit quicker than what we did, but a great player. Like I said, shared a real special time with him, and really loved coaching him, and look forward to catching up with him, on the weekend. And Cameron, I didn't have a lot to do with, but I was following. Again, he was breaking through, and kind of I was the national team boss. So it's great to have a couple of Aussies in there in the Premier League. Hopefully, more to come. But got a lot of time for Mass. Fantastic player, and fantastic person too.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If I can see you